No, unfortunately not. The AFL protocols, we've checked them all out today. Chelsea actually, the great part is that she feels terrific today, and she's had a test today and she's passed all of those. But under the protocols of the AFL, once you've been diagnosed with concussion, which she was on Saturday, you're out for 12 days, and I think everybody knows that. I mean, if there was a loophole that we could get through, we would try and do it. But in the end, we also understand that these protocols are put in place by medical experts, and it's for the long-term health and safety of the players. And so, whilst I think the protocols suck at the moment, they don't really, because medical experts have put them in place for the health and well-being. And I want to be with Chelsea when she's 60 and we can look back and reminisce on some premierships that she won at the Adelaide Crows.
This happened 2 years ago before this AFL protocol. Would she have played on Sunday?
I think she'd be a very good chance, yeah. So this protocols came out on the 28th of January, which is the first day of the AFLW season. And if it was 1 year ago or before the 28th of January, she would be every likelihood to play. Now, she's had some concussions here. This is probably her third concussion in 5 years. She had one early in the year. She probably wouldn't have played with that one because she had some blurred vision for a few days. She had one back in 2018, which was probably worse than all of them, and she wouldn't have played the next week. But with the old rules in place, she probably would have played, yeah.
Seriously consider trying to get an exemption from the AFL?
Well, I don't think there's exemptions available. We did speak to the AFL. They looked at the incident and they agreed that she had concussion, and the rules are the rules, and it's just like anything in this caper. Once the rule is there and it's set in place, I don't think the AFL are going to go back on the rule that they've made, which is for the safety and welfare of the players.
And how is Chelsea holding up?
Physically, great. She feels terrific. Emotionally, not so good. So she's going to she's speaking to the players as we speak, and that will be a really difficult thing for her, because we've got to remember when we recruited Chelsea Randall here, she was a young woman from Western Australia, and she decided to come and play for the Crows, which was a pretty big move. And the reason she decided to come and play for the Crows was the fact that she knew that women's football in South Australia was really weak, and she wanted to make a difference. She wanted to leave a legacy. Back then there was about 8 teams playing in the whole of South Australia, women's teams. Now there's over 150 teams playing. So she's contributed greatly to that, and if there's anyone that deserves to be playing this weekend, it's probably Chelsea. But sometimes life is not like that, and it hasn't worked out for her. But can we still win without her? Well, we did for 3.5 quarters on the weekend, so why not?
How will you determine who captains on the weekend?
Well, I think that Chelsea's part of that leadership group, and we'll put our captain and coach up on Friday. She's still our captain as far as I'm concerned, so she'll be up on Friday. But they'll decide who tosses the coin amongst that leadership group, and there's Sarah Allen, Ange Foley, Eloise Jones. One of those three will toss the coin. Chelsea will still be our captain. She's the captain of our club.
She's a big hole to fill, though, isn't she?
Yeah.
How do you think you go about doing that?
Well, she's very versatile. So, we've got 9 players. Nikki Gore's not available, so 8 players who are available. We think the biggest strength of ours is the depth of talent that we've got in there. We're never going to be able to replace Chelsea because she's such a great player, and she's so versatile, plays forward, mid and back. So we'll just have to decide whether we want to look at a back or someone who's more predominantly mid or more predominantly forward. But we've got a lot to choose from that would all be good replacements.
Will she have a role match day? Will she
We'll speak to the AFL about getting her on the bench and being involved like she was on the weekend. She was quite fine on the weekend. After it was a pretty solid hit. I think we all saw that it was a solid hit, and if it was my daughter, I wouldn't have liked it. But that's the way she plays. We're never going to stop that with Chelsea. She goes 100 miles an hour at every ball she goes for, and that's why we love her so much. But the people, our members and supporters, love her to death for that, because she's 100% committed to footy all the time.
Mentally, how do you think the players will kind of get over losing the captain? Will there be much?
Well, I think it's important to put it out there now, today, and realise that, okay, we haven't got Chelsea. So we're all going to have to dig a bit deeper and find a bit more. They were able to do that on the weekend. I mean, pretty well they didn't have it for the whole game on the weekend. So hopefully that would give them some great confidence that, well, we've done it once, so why couldn't we do it again? And Melbourne are the form team of the competition. They were in better form than all of us. They'd beaten all the gun teams in the comp, and we were able to get over the top of them. But Brisbane's another challenge again.
There was some confusion over the concussion test yesterday. She didn't officially have a concussion test, is that correct?
So what happens that's a good question. On Saturday, with the concussion test, they only have to look at how your symptoms are when you're on the ground and look at how your symptoms are on the video. So there was our doctor that met her on the ground, and there was our doctor and the independent doctor who were there on the bench and reviewed it on the video, and they said they saw enough to diagnose her with concussion. So they didn't need to do a test. They realised that she had concussion. The protocols now say, well, have your next test, which she did today, and she was fine on that. So I don't think it's a bad concussion, but it's a concussion. And unfortunately, that means you can't play for 12 days, and we play in 7 unless forms or something like that to disrupt this weekend's game. We can't do that.
Speaking of this weekend's game, tickets go on sale tomorrow.
Yep.
Would you love to see anyone buy tickets to that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's only $10 to get in, and I think if you've watched our girls have been through a fair bit this year. We went over to West Coast in round 1, then we got put into isolation when we went back, then we got put into isolation in Rooty Hill in New South Wales, and then we've been able to get some games at home later in the year. So I think our girls, the way they've played, deserve a really good crowd this weekend, and I'm sure the people of Adelaide, they've always supported our girls terrifically, so I'm sure they'll do that again.